Fear can drive people to do many strange things. The Darker the Lake was written and directed by Lo Kwon Woo, who did Angels Never Cry and White Terror. And this was also written by Z. Sokalante. Had to get that name written down so I could pronounce that at least somewhat correctly. I hope I did. They played the therapist in the movie, and the storyline consultant was Yang Yang. This was filmed in St. Michael, Austria. I'm sure grandparents said that they were there during the war. I kid. Boy, this review's really going goddamn well. This stars Elise Levesque, who plays Tamara. She's a detective who is taking care of her mother, Leia, played by Veronica Ferris. And if Elise Levesque, that name sounds sort of familiar, ready or not. Terrific goddamn movie. You should check that one out after you check out this movie. Or maybe you shouldn't. You gotta watch the rest of the review to find out. And a few other people are in this. Gina Stibitz, who plays the young Leia because it's told in flashbacks and then current day and jumps around a whole bunch to the point where the movie almost wraps in on its own goddamn ass. And since it's filmed in Austria, there's beautiful scenery, and it centers around a game where you play it and you bring all your pain, your stress, your anger, and if you are chosen, then the painkiller, which sounds like a goddamn bastardized monster truck, comes and takes your pain away, and people die. Because if it takes your pain away, it's got to disperse it to other people, because that's just how these crazy, witchy, Warcraftian type games work or whatever. It's almost like a weird Ouija board role-playing game with candles and alpha and alpha and alpha. Ay. So yeah, this movie basically just bounces around a whole bunch between 1987, pseudo-current day, and then current day, and possibly in the goddamn future. It really gets to the point where the movie is just out of goddamn control, and the storyline just goes in a whole bunch of goddamn different directions, and it gets to the point where they're just introducing a whole bunch of other stuff, and a whole bunch of, like, you know, these plot twists, when we got like 15, 20 minutes left in the movie. You should be wrapping this stuff up. Okay, it's very nice stuff that you've built. You can stop building now. You can actually address some things. No, I don't think you need to introduce other characters and other backstories. Oh, just keep doing that and we'll just continue to watch. This movie had potential. Actually, the storyline wasn't all that bad, but boy, those special effects. Sweet fucking Christ, those special effects. I understand doing a movie on a shoestring budget or a small budget. I'm not going to fault that, but cut some certain things, because some of these special effects don't even look like they would pass for TV shows from the goddamn 90s. There was one particular scene with snow particle effects that looked like it was out of the goddamn 80s. The Thing had actual, granted, The Thing had a much bigger budget, but The Thing came out in 1982 and had better snow effects than this. And then there were some fire effects that really looked goddamn ridiculous. And then there was a spectral being, or maybe there wasn't. There was just some weird black cloud that came over everything, because it's from the game. And of course, there's a painkiller. So yeah, this movie isn't very good. In fact, I'm not going to lie, I pretty much hated this movie. And that's a shame, because I was looking forward to it. Just seeing the concept, I'm like, okay, I don't really know. I mean, outside of Elise Levesque, who I recognize from Ready or Not, I hadn't really seen anybody else from this movie in anything that I can remember. The actress who played Leia looked somewhat familiar, but I couldn't place her. The whole point is a independent movie that's just released on streaming. That's not an automatic disqualifier. I saw some terrific goddamn movies in 2020 and last year and even this year, and it just got to the point where the story just didn't fucking add up at all. Like, why were these detectives investigating this stuff? Why was all this stuff told in flashbacks? Why did they keep repeating some scenes? Why did they keep doing this stuff? Why did they keep giving characters different motivations just based solely on where the plot was suddenly deciding to go? It's like they were writing this thing in real time, and then we're like, okay, let's shoot this, let's shoot this, let's shoot this. It's not any good. And it's a shame, because it wastes the goddamn concept, and it actually gets to the point where it's really fucking frustrating. And you just watch it and it just becomes background noise. It gets really, really bad, almost seemingly mind-numbingly stupid, and somewhat confusing. I mean, you can sort of figure out the story, but then also it doesn't make any sense if you think about it, because you have this one character doing one thing. You got these detectives doing this stuff. You got Leia, who's the blind mother. Oh, by the way, she's blind in this. That's a bit of a minor spoiler right there, but it doesn't really factor into the rest of the goddamn movie, because she's seemingly just looking around and everything and doing this, but she's supposed to be blind. So yeah, the movie's told in flashbacks and a whole bunch of other stuff, and just gets to where it's wrapped around and basically coming in on its own ass, like the Human Centipede trilogy, which at least those movies had something. This movie had something and failed to live up to it. It just got to the point where it was just frustrating and stupid, and any of the good ideas were just put in a goddamn blender mixed with bullshit, and then they served it to us and said, there, that'll be a few bucks on Amazon. And it seems like this movie is just made for a few bucks. Beautiful scenery, and the actors certainly tried. I will say that much. But it's like trying to be 3 different movies. A detective drama, a supernatural drama. It was like The Plagues of Breslau. If you've seen that, that's a Netflix original movie. Except The Plagues of Breslau at least had something to it. It wasn't supernatural necessarily. It was decent enough, even though it was kind of basic and they rushed the ending. This just got to where it was just stupid. It just got to where it's like, okay, we'll just throw this shit at the screen. We'll throw this shit at the screen. And eventually, everybody just stopped caring. And that was me about 40 minutes into the goddamn movie. And nothing else from this movie necessarily grabbed me. It was just frustrating. It was not very goddamn good. But that's all I'm going to say about the movie before getting into spoilers. It's on Amazon. If you want to check it out, maybe other people will like it. I will say this, though. On IMDb, it doesn't have any goddamn reviews. That's not necessarily a good sign. But anyway, spoiler time on Amazon if you want to check it out. 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so Tamara, is taking care of her mother. She is a detective, and her and her partner Lucas, played by Vladimir Berlikov, which sounds like some kind of territorial wrestler that would just play some territorial wrestling character, like an Italian guy they would make a Russian, or a guy from Minnesota they would make a Russian, like Nikita Koloff. Non-wrestling fans have no fucking idea who I'm talking about. Nevertheless, the movie basically is taking place in 1987, where we tell the story of young Leia. She plays the game with her friends, and eventually we find out that these kids that played the game were being picked off. She slept with one of the guys that end up becoming the father of Tamara. Tamara, I love you, Tamara. And that it ends up where all the friends die except Leia. And then she's not blind at one. Did they ever explain why she was blind? Did I just totally miss that goddamn thing? Did she decide to make herself blind? Did they decide to just write that and then just totally cut it out of the movie? Because they're like, no, we don't need to explain this shit. Then she's helping out this one woman that was named Rebecca, played by Wei Ning Su. I apologize if I screwed up that name. She was cute. She had an abusive husband, and there were things that suddenly ended like badly. Like people were getting cursed by this game, and the pain was just not being killed; it was being spread. And people were stabbing themselves in the neck with bottles. Bodies were turning up dead, with seemingly no explanation. Like, oh, these people are playing this. Well, wait a second. Now, if it's not the game, what else is it? There's also this side plot about watches that are set to a certain fear frequency. 18.9 to 19.9 megahertz or something like that. The fear frequency can drive people nuts and everything. There's also this author played by Johnny Yang, who's played by Yu Ning Xiao, who actually really tries in this movie. He is writing a book on the dealings of fear, how people deal with fear and how people deal with the sounds of fear and the sounds of silence. And hello, darkness, my old friend. I'm fearful this movie will live again. Basically, he's doing this, so maybe he has something to do with it. And then also these watches are being sent by somebody that's in London, and it turns out to actually be either Max's grandfather or possibly Max from another dimension. Possibly Max's father. I don't really goddamn care at this point, because the movie frustrated me to the point that it just got messy. Again, beautiful scenery. And St. Michael, Austria, with plenty of grandparents who are saying, I'm innocent, I was only following orders. Oh. And everything else, just like, it's like people will just do things. Characters will just throw their motivations out the goddamn window. At one point, Leia decides to end the game and throw the game in the goddamn river, but that ends it. But that doesn't end it because there's the watches from this maker that have the fear frequency. It's like this movie, we came in on the middle of something. Like we forgot the goddamn first movie. This is a second movie, and we were going to have a third movie that was going to solve all this stuff. It was like that Mortal Engines movie, except Mortal Engines had a budget. Boy, did it have a budget for such a goddamn shit movie. Yeah, fuck this movie. Fuck this goddamn thing. It was so goddamn stupid. That's all I have to say. But F, if it gets an F. I got more frustrated as I went along and watched it. And it's not that I have a problem with movies making me think. I love movies with a deep plot like that. Or it's like, oh, I gotta think about it. I gotta rewatch it. I'm not going to rewatch this. This is one of the worst movies I've seen this year. And that's saying something because I've seen a lot of shit along with a lot of good stuff. There's some good ideas. Maybe other people will like it. This ain't it, Chief. I don't even think the kids say that anymore. Anyway, again, F. Agree, disagree, what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.